Did you know that in Harry Potter and the Prisoners of Azkaban, if you zoom in incredibly far on the Marauders map, you can see the name Newt Scamander? Many fan theories are going around the internet, and a lot of them surprisingly include Dumbledore's deep connection with this matter. What is it though? Well, we are going to find out how Harry Potter theories explain why Newt was on the Marauders map. So let's get started. In the third movie of the Harry Potter series, The Prisoner of Azkaban, Newt Scamander shows up when Harry is looking at the Marauders map. Some have said that he might be there because of his history of working with werewolves and because Lupin is teaching it that year. Some have said that maybe he is representing the Ministry as part of a magical creatures division. Some have even said that maybe he is Buckbeak. Since Prisoner of Azkaban takes place in the school year of 1993 to 1994, this would mean that Newt Scamander, born in 1897, would have been 97 years old. Obviously, he would be far too old to be a student, and we know that he wasn't a member of the staff at Hogwarts. Plus, at his age, it seems likely that he would be retired. That's a thing in the wizarding world too, right? It is therefore reasonable to assume that he was visiting for some reason. So, what possible reason would an elderly Newt have to visit Hogwarts? Fans even pulled up digitally enhanced images of Marauders map using artificial intelligence and are exploring the possibilities because, of course, the map doesn't lie. Well, there are many theories that we have to go through. Let's check them out one by one, shall we? Starting off with the theory of hippogriffs and Buckbeak. The book, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, was the property of Harry Potter when he was in school. It states in the book that Newt is now retired and lives in Dorset with his wife, Porpentina. So at the time that Harry is in school, Newt is not dead or missing. He is happily retired. This theory is based on the first sentence in that same book, which states, Newt Artemis Fido Scamander, was born in 1897. His interest in fabulous beasts was encouraged by his mother, who was an enthusiastic breeder of fancy hippogriffs. This theory believes that Newt inherited those hippogriffs from his mother. When he set about traveling the world to write his book, he left the hippogriffs with Dumbledore at Hogwarts so that they would be protected by a barrier surrounding the school. He then returned to Hogwarts when Buckbeak was sentenced to execution because Buckbeak indeed belonged to Newt, and he was intent on saving him. The next fan theory suggests that movie makers wanted fans to get back to the book. Another theory suggests that the filmmakers needed to chunk in a load of random names to show the map working, so why not choose a cool-sounding name of an established character who has never been seen? For the casual fan, this is an effective way to facilitate immersion. The more involved fans would have read the 2001 comic relief book, and so Newt would be more recognizable than many other unseen in-universe characters. Thus, his name conveniently serves as a cute little Easter egg. And the in-universe explanation? I like to think that it was something more exciting than just popping around for a cuppa with Dumbledore. Nobody knows everything that goes on at Hogwarts, and Harry's regular secret antics prove that. And so, it could be something that we have absolutely no idea about. It could also very easily be Buckbeak related. The man who travels all the way to Egypt to rescue a Thunderbird because he feels it's at risk, and then travels to the USA to find it a safe home, isn't just going to ignore a hippogriff at risk in his own country, let alone at his own school. The theory revolving around Dementors and Dumbledore. Dementors were residents at Hogwarts throughout the third year. Could it be that the school called upon the expertise of Newt Scamander to advise the students on how to behave around them, or to simply get a better picture of their behavior? This theory may be dunkable, however, or at least less credible, depending on when exactly he was seen on the map. If it were late into the school year, this may not be likely. Another scenario could simply be that Newt was meeting with Dumbledore as they were good friends. This was emphasized throughout the Crimes of Grindelwald movie, and it could exclusively be them catching up. If the map location is identifiable as being near Dumbledore's office, this may point towards this theory being accurate. Moving on to the Hagrid and Buckbeak theory. This one makes a lot of sense, and fans are somewhat leaning towards this a lot. So Hagrid was appointed as a professor for care of magical creatures. It may be that Newt was visiting to help Hagrid in some way, either moral support, expertise, or possibly lending creatures for teaching. I also realized the two characters are similar in many ways. Both are Hufflepuffs, and both were expelled from Hogwarts for something that wasn't their fault. In addition, Albus Dumbledore personally recognized both characters' innocence and fought to help them in this. It may be that Hagrid and Newt become friends of some sort, given the similarity in their stories. Perhaps he was simply meeting Hagrid for tea in his hut. Could someone identify where he's spotted on the map? This may give us some indication. Given that Buckbeak was set to be executed following the fiasco with Draco, it may be that Newt appeared to try to save him. There would be space in a suitcase, and he would be more than happy to add a hippogriff to his repertoire. We also know that Newt is not overly keen on the Ministry, and would likely not have hesitated to disrupt their decision if he could. Don't go anywhere, because we are about to find out Dumbledore's connection with all of these theories. How come Dumbledore is appearing in multiple fan theories? Another theory starring Dumbledore. So, the Ministry of Magic has very strict rules about allowing registered werewolves in the general area of the school. This is especially important because a young wizard would likely know very little about defense against a werewolf if attacked. The young wizard would be extremely vulnerable, compounded upon the fact that the DADA's professor is the werewolf in question. There had to be a ton of conflict of interest concerns there. I mean, if you were a werewolf, how likely would you be to teach your students spells that could disable or kill you? You might not be so inclined. Dumbledore, being the cavalier type he was, decided that the laws about werewolves and children didn't apply to him. This certainly caused an uproar in the ministry. So who do you send? Your most senior regulation and control of magical creatures agent. You send Newt Scamander. How deep is Dumbledore's connection with Newt Scamander? Newt undoubtedly had a heated debate with Dumbledore in his office. Snape, being the wise man he was, also was there. He knew the dangers that Remus posed. Now, obviously, Dumbledore, being smooth, convinced Newt to let Remus stay on a probationary basis. Newt agrees, but insists that he is going to stay on school grounds to keep an eye on the situation. Snape is furious that this farce is allowed to go on. So furious, in fact, that he decides to take matters into his own hands. He sees an opportunity the day that he fills in for Lupin and begins to teach the DADA's class about werewolves. Obviously, things turn out poorly when Lupin's transformation comes to a head in the climax. In the aftermath, Newt Scamander is all over the situation when he finds out. He wants Lupin sacked immediately, but Dumbledore reminds him that none of the events happened on school grounds. And if Lupin was transformed into a werewolf, the Shrieking Shack and Forbidden Forest were probably the safest places for him to be, as most students were not allowed to visit either location. Newt, fed up with Dumbledore's games, decides that he will take matters into his own hands. He lets slip to a few parents that a werewolf is instructing their children, causing Lupin to resign. Lastly, how did J.K. Rowling's mysterious plotting come into play? People are questioning why the heck did J.K.R. make Newt the person who created the werewolf registry. From all that we've read in the series, it seems to absolutely destroy people's lives. Taking from the context that J.K.R. is alluding to and basing the werewolf registry on other real-life registries, and that she implies it is a terrible thing. So why did she make Newt, who by all accounts seems to be a very compassionate, noble person, the person who made it? He doesn't, at least at this point, seem to be the type to be overly cautious or focused on heavy regulation of dangerous creatures. He just wants them protected. The werewolf registry appears to do the exact opposite of that. Was it meant to be something to help werewolves initially? If so, how could Newt let it morph into this system of identifying these people and reinforcing a caste system? The most likely answer is that she never realized how important Newt would become in her universe and merely slapped his name on the registry instead of inventing a new character for it. It honestly seems like way more of an Umbridge's mother kind of move. Let us know in the comments below what fan theory was your favorite.